All right, today let's get into today's trades. And so far today was not a good trade day for me. Did a red day. One trade I took today. I didn't have time for a whole lot of trades, and today really didn't go right as far as the market goes. A lot of things I had some issues with. First off, starting out, the fact that I had got up late this morning, didn't get in right at 7 o'clock. I like to be there for the 7 o'clock bell, and because that's when a lot of traders come online and things like that, and that's when places like Thinkorswim and E-Trade and Charles Schwab and a lot of those brokerages come online, and they actually start trading at that point, and a lot of volume starts to enter the market. Things start moving, and so I was kind of feeling like this would have been good to get in at 7 o'clock. I did not. I actually ended up oversleeping, unfortunately, and I missed a couple of good trades right away this morning. But one of the top ones right off the bat was IMNN. This is a pharmaceutical company. Had some advanced ovarian cancer study data shows survival improvement. So obviously some decent news here today. So I thought maybe this would be something that might push this stock up. And obviously when that news came out, you can see that the stock did start to go up, but it didn't have any like long-term growth to it, and didn't really push it up. And then at the opening bell, it did have this small push and then a flush. And that made me a little leery right at the open with this. And then I started to see this pattern forming right here. But I was looking for was it to really pull away and do a micro pullback and get in a lot lower than I did. And one of the problems with it was when you look at what's going on here, I mean, the 9 is way at the bottom here. That was a problem. I shouldn't have made this trade at all. But when I was looking at the MACD here, it was showing open. And I thought, well, this is good. And this is a good possibility we can make this trade work. And I think it's starting to actually start to pull away now. And that's what a lot of stocks will do. It might not take off right away at 9:30. Sometimes it takes a little bit for things to kind of form up and start taking place. And that's what I kind of felt like was happening here. But it did exactly what it did right here. And that was it flushed. It dropped down and then it started to come back, held this level, but did not hold up here. Once it started to get above the 9 moving average, VWAP and all that, it just couldn't hold those levels. And so what I was kind of seeing here is like, hey, this thing's starting to take off. Well, I got in, I think, at 348 and 348, which was way up in here actually. So right in about this area. So 348, but I was in way too high already, and I felt like this candle was actually at that point was starting to take off, and then just like that it flushed. I stopped out at I believe 329 for a $19 loss. And if you look at this stock, it's kind of interesting. There was a flush, there's a flush, there's a flush. So anytime this stock tried to move higher, and it was just trending sideways literally in the same range for a long period here, it just never got above VWAP. And if you don't know what that is, it's volume weighted average. So it takes the volume into consideration along with the price, not just, like an EMA, which is, taking like a 10 EMA would take the average of the last 10 candles and weight the newest candles a little more heavily. So, VWAP basically would turn around and just and take volume into consideration. And so that you kind of think of VWAP as the equilibrium point of this stock. And when it's trading above the VWAP, it's basically the bulls are in charge. When it's trading below this, the bears are in charge. And if you look at this, I mean, it just never seemed to get there, except at what point? Earlier this morning, right at about 7 o'clock. And look, this stock just shot off right here. I mean, you could kind of see it was starting to pull, and then all of a sudden it just started pushing away and all the way up to 347. So, I mean, this would have been a great move this morning, getting it about 288 all the way up to 347, somewhere in that range. I mean, there was a good 50, 60 cent move right there. if you could capture that one this morning. It was definitely a good move. There was no big red candles. There was no big flushes to watch for. So, definitely that was the cleanest part of the move. And this one right here, where it did this one right here, it kind of consolidated and then pushed higher again. But when we got into this area, it did push higher, a little bit choppy here. And we started seeing a little bit more of the flushes. And we started seeing a little bit more pulling back, especially down towards the 200. But once we got down to the 200, noticed how it bounced off, literally almost bounces off the 200 and comes right back up. And then after a bit, it does finally go below the 200 right at the opening bell. It's just couldn't hold it. I don't understand, and it's weird how things go. Sometimes things just work out and the stock will just blow up and it goes crazy and just goes almost parabolic in some cases. But the cue for me should have really been on this, seeing this volume bar right here, this high red volume bar. I should have just stayed away from it. Shouldn't even trade it. And at one point this morning, I was kind of considering not even taking a trade because I just felt like nothing would look that good. I was looking at all the different stocks, ISPO, which I don't even know if it had news on it this morning, CNSP, IMNN. Those are about the only three I was really looking at. And they just really didn't have a whole lot to them. Enough for me because I'm trading a very specific strategy. I'm trading a micro pullback, and I'm just not getting that move up to really take that move. And so when you're not getting that trade that you are trying to pick as a beginner, then you want to just kind of hold back, stay back, and not get into the trade at all. So that was the trade I took today, and I felt like at that point I just didn't need to really get into it anymore because I felt like nothing was really going the way I wanted it. I wasn't getting the move I wanted. So it was better for me just to sit back and not do anything at all. So that was my trade for the days. Just going back here, looking at my metrics real quick. So overall, I don't want to make any more than say a $50 loss in a day, and $19 is manageable. It's definitely manageable. It's not terrible or anything like that. And I'm only in my paper trade account yet, and so we can make these mistakes now. It's okay. Right now we're doing about in week 5 of this month. Tomorrow we have one more trading day for the month, and that's it. Hopefully I can make something good happen. But 40% success rate for the week. Overall, I have a 38.46% success rate. So 10 out of 16 trades have been successful. And out of those trades, 8 of those 10 have been above 10 cents or higher. So that's something that's been really getting a lot better. When I have a good green trade, it is looking better, and things I'm getting over that 10-cent mark per share, which is really good. So things overall are looking up. And then we look at our profit ratio, 1.79 to 1. So our winners are 1.79% to 1. So just typically I shoot for a 2 to 1 where my winners are twice as big as my losers. So I'm a little bit below that. It's okay. It's not terrible. 1 to 1's like the minimum. You don't want to be any less than a 1 to 1. So there it is right there. And then anything else I want to discuss here. Overall, I had 3 trades this month that were above $50 for a loss, hitting max loss for the day. And if I could cut those out of my next month, I think I could definitely do a lot better. I think if I could slim out even a few more of these red trades that I could have just held back on and not even taken, I think I would have done even better. And my success ratio would definitely be a lot higher. So overall, that's been the month so far, but I'm going to have one more trading day, and I'll run that tomorrow, and I'll be back here tomorrow. If you'd like to follow along with me, you can definitely do that. You can sign up, subscribe to my channel, and you can follow along with me as I learn to day trade.